Hello everyone and welcome. This is going to be my review of One Piece Chapter 985, the new Onigashima project. So, the start of the chapter has a beautiful cover page of Luffy, Law, and Kid riding on top of some parrots, feeding them rice balls and eating out of a bento box. The color page is beautifully drawn and the colors are really vibrant and colorful. It also goes to show the various different personalities of the three characters. Luffy antagonizes Kid, who gets extremely upset, and Law is just trying to sit there in peace and feed some parrots. Overall, really great cover page, and just overall really solid. Oda always delivers with these things. But let's try to get into the meat of things with this chapter, because oh boy, this chapter has a lot to go over. So the chapter starts out with Kanjuro and his subordinates confronting Law and the scabbards behind Onigashima Castle. In addition to having real-life subordinates, Kanjuro draws headless samurai warriors to also confront the scabbards. One thing I'd like to note is that Law doesn't appear in this chapter, but I presume he's in the area because he was with them last chapter and had no indication that he had left them. So I wonder if he's just off-screen fighting subordinates, or maybe he decided to go along a separate path before they reach Kanjuro. Who knows, and it'll probably be solved in a different chapter, but it was something I'd like to note. Anyways, the headless samurai warriors that Kanjuro had draws vaguely resemble the armor that Kiku was wearing as a samurai, and Izo even notes that they do resemble them. Kanjuro tells them that they're all too late, and that Momonosuke will be executed soon, and that he personally beat the shit out of him after he tried to escape using the dagger that we saw a couple chapters back. Okiku is enraged at this fact and challenges Kanjuro to a duel, claiming that her swords will scar him and the scars will never heal, even in the afterlife. And with that, the two of them engage in a fight. And personally, I was surprised that it was going to be Kiku versus Kanjuro. If anything, I thought maybe it would have been Kawamatsu or Ashura Doji, but Kiku has really stepped up, and she's proving that she's just as capable as the rest of the samurai, and she has just as much skin in the game as the rest of them, and she personally feels betrayed by Kanjuro, and she wants to see him taken down. And so the two of them engage. Meanwhile, the rest of the scabbards fight Kanjuro's subordinates, with Inuarashi revealing he now uses two-sword style, thanks to the sword that he now uses as a prosthetic leg. I actually found the interactions between Nekomamushi and Inuarashi to be kind of funny this chapter, with Inuarashi pointing to Nekomamushi's gun, saying, "What's that on your arm?" He's like, "Oh, I got this, it's new." And then later on, when Inuarashi reveals the sword on his foot, Nekomamushi's like, "What the hell is that?" And Inuarashi's just like, "Oh yeah, I use two swords now." Just goes to show that even in the heat of battle, the two of them can't help but comment on each other, no matter what it may be. Moving forward, we see that in the attic, Yamato tells Luffy that since he is Odin, and Luffy is Ace's brother, that must mean that Luffy will welcome aboard a ship. To which Luffy says that Yamato isn't Odin, and kinda just dodges the request entirely. Yamato does say that, "Yeah, you're right. You're probably more Odin than I am," to which Luffy is like, "What are you talking about?" And Yamato says that he can't be Odin because he isn't truly free like Odin was. And I think this point actually is really important. Luffy initially says to Yamato that you can't be Odin because Odin was beloved by all. And that's true. Yamato, on the other hand, isn't. The general populace of Wano probably doesn't even know who Yamato is, much less know that Yamato was inspired by Odin. And amongst the Animal Kingdom pirates, they just call him Yamato, and they just think he's a powerful nuisance that keeps trying to run away. So that right there shows that even though Yamato really truly does want to be Odin, he can't be Odin. He's not free like Odin, and he's most certainly not loved like Odin. And that really just shows just how much Yamato needs to grow if he ever wants to become the next Odin. Yamato reveals that the cuffs on his wrists are similar to the explosive cuffs that Luffy and Gyoro had on their necks during their time in Udon prison. Kaido said that ever since he was 8 years old, he's had these on his wrists, and if he was to ever leave Wano, then the cuffs would blow up and blow off his hands. This, to me, at least tells me the fact that Yamato was probably around 8 years old when Odin died, and that's probably around the time he started pretending being Odin and when Kaido decided to nip that entire thing in the bud right then and there. Or at least he tried to. And Yamato being 8 years old around the time that Oden died makes a lot of sense. That would mean that Yamato was 28 years old now, and presumably was around 24 when he met Ace. So yeah, ages check out right there. Anyways, he says that the reason why he never left with Ace originally was due to the cuffs and how they would blow his hands off, effectively, if not killing him, making him worthless as a fighter. Yamato says that even if the cuffs aren't explosive, he wouldn't know, because he knows Kaido would be the type of father to equip explosive cuffs to his own child. He says that every time he challenged Kaido, he would get beaten down. And that just goes to show how cruel Kaido is as a father, and how Yamato almost doesn't view Kaido as his father, but just as this tormentive, abusive figure that just serves to cut down his dreams and limit his freedom. Luffy offers to take the cuffs off of Yamato to free him, and Yamato tries to protest by saying, "How could you do that? I've been wearing these for 20 years, you would not understand." But they immediately get cut off by hearing Kaido making an announcement on the show floor. That small dialogue panel at least indicates to me that Yamato does not know advanced level armament of hockey on the levels of Luffy, Rayleigh, and the Admirals, and that to him, these cuffs can never come off unless he was given the key, meaning that knowledge of advanced level armament hockey is not known to him, meaning potentially either he's never seen Kaido and the lead performers use it, or that they may not know how to use it. I'm inclined to believe the former, because I doubt Kaido has ever gone full power against his son, and I doubt Yamato has ever fought the lead performers, and even if he did, I doubt they would have gone all the way all out against him. But that was just a small little tidbit that did interest me, and shows that Yamato does not know advanced armament hockey, because if he did, he would have been able to take off the cuffs himself. Anyways, on to Kaido's announcement. We see that we see him on the show floor via visual Dendenmushi, projecting his face to the entire party. He informs his subordinates that the world government has disbanded the Seven Warlord system, and he believes that this is due to the fact that they are confident in the Navy's new special project headed by Vegapunk, the SSG. He believes that the SSG has the ability to challenge the Four Emperors and do it better than what the Seven Warlords used to do. He says that due to this revelation, that the Animal Kingdom pirates and the Big Mom pirates have entered an alliance to do three things: obtain the three ancient weapons, obtain the One Piece, and start the greatest war the world has ever seen. Now, I want to dissect this part really quickly because I think it's pretty important. The fact that Kaido was able to figure out the fact that the Shichibukai being disbanded due to the world government wasn't due to the kings requesting it nicely at the reverie. He figured that the only reason the world government would ever let something like this happen is if they knew they had something that was better and more efficient and more controllable. I think this shows how Kaido is an analytical person. He does have an analytical mind, as he was able to pretty quickly figure out, oh, they're getting rid of the warlords? That must mean they have something that can challenge the emperors, meaning they have something that can challenge me. And I need to be on top of that, because if I want the greatest war ever, and I want to win that war, I gotta know what my enemies are doing. And it looks like they got something that I don't know about, so I'm gonna try and beat it. And so I really appreciate that Oda is developing Kaido subtly as an analytical villain, someone that strategizes. And I mean, it makes sense. This is someone that wants to wage the greatest war in history. And to wage a great war and to win that war, you have to be a very effective strategist. And you have to be able to analyze your opponents in every facet. And this just goes to show that Kaido is that person. Kaido is the person that will analyze his opponents and figure out ways to take it down. Very befitting of someone whose title is the Governor General. On cue, as Kaido announces the alliance with the Big Mom pirates, Big Mom enters the show floor, or as she's shown by the Oda box to be called, Olin the Orin. So Olin enters the show floor with an army of homies alongside a captured Nami and Carrot and an unconscious Zeus. One thing I'd like to note is the fact that when Olin breaks into the show floor, the people freaking out are Orochi's men, because to them, devil fruit powers are magic. Inside of Wano, devil fruit powers are known as magic, and no one really knows what they truly are, except for maybe Orochi. So to see a broom with eyes and a face walking and talking alongside a pair of old sandals, it freaks out all of Orochi's men because they have no idea how devil fruit powers work. And so they are thoroughly, thoroughly petrified at this. Another thing to note is that while we see Nami and Carrot are captured by Big Mom, we do not see Shinobu. That interests me because that means Shinobu at some point during the chase in the hallway was able to get past Big Mom and her observation haki. This tells me two things. One, Shinobu's skills as a ninja trounces even Yonko level observation haki, and two, Shinobu has probably found an alternative path and is trying to make her way to Momonosuke. How successful she'll be at freeing Momonosuke is another thing, however. You gotta remember, Kaido, Queen, King, and Jack are standing right there. And even if their observation haki doesn't detect them, the fact that Shinobu, the fact that she'll be freeing Momonosuke means all they gotta do is just turn around and see her, and then Momonosuke and Shinobu will be dead. So I am really interested to see how Shinobu's gonna handle the freeing of Momonosuke and how Oda plans to write that, because Shinobu's been a really effective ninja. She has seldom been caught using her ninja powers, and whenever she is, she's really able to just escape the situation very quickly. And with the war starting this chapter, I'm really interested to see how Oda's going to be utilizing Shinobu's ninja powers to the fullest. Anyways, Kaido says that him and Big Mom are going to throw their full weight into the piracy business and will turn the flower capital into another location for factories and its population be turned into slaves. He also states that current Onigashima will become the new flower capital, while Wano as a whole will be renamed as New Onigashima, and Yamato will be named its new shogun. This comes to a surprise to everyone. It comes to a surprise to Orochi because he's like, bro, what the hell? This is my country. I'm the shogun. Who gives you the right to command my citizens, rename my country, turn my capital into a factory? Who gives you the right? I'm the one that gives you your weapons. I'm the one that helps you farm these devil fruits. And he's obviously completely taken aback. Meanwhile, Yamato is absolutely fuming at the idea of being called the new shogun of New Onigashima when Yamato hates Kaido and Kaido hates Yamato. And he thinks, what is this bullshit? He thinks this is complete bullshit. How could Kaido ruin his entire life and then turn around and say, oh yeah, I'm gonna make you the shogun of the new Onigashima, our new country that I have just created. Yamato's like, what the fuck is this? This is bullshit. Anyways, before we go further with the criticisms by Yamato and Orochi, Kaido talks about the fact that Wano is a natural fortress that will be nigh impregnable to the forces of the Navy, world government, Revolutionary Army, and other warlords. And that from there, they'll be sending raiding parties across the globe, with New Onigashima being a lawless pirate paradise. Now, this signifies something that's very interesting. So we know that Blackbeard currently uses Pirate's Beehive as his headquarters, and that place is considered a lawless pirate paradise. The fact that Kaido and Big Mom want New Onigashima to be something similar really ties in one key thing about that, which is the fact that a lawless pirate paradise seems to be a common theme with them. What else was a lawless pirate paradise? That would be the Rocks crew. Both Kaido and Big Mom were members of the the Rocks crew, with Kaido being the apprentice on the crew and Big Mom being a big known figure of the crew. Meanwhile, Blackbeard presumably has taken a lot of influence from Rocksteady Zebek, naming his flagship the Saber of Zebek. This tells me that, at least amongst the main antagonists of One Piece, they take a lot of inspiration from Rocks and his ideologies of lawless piracy. And I think moving forward, we're going to see more about Zebek and how much he has influenced this current generation of pirates and how they view what an optimal pirate life should be. Anyways, Orochi does not take too kindly to this, but before he can voice any displeasure, Kaido unsheaths King's sword and in one fell swoop decapitates Orochi in front of everyone, which shocks everyone except for, in my opinion, the lead performers and Big Mom. And I think this panel was done very well for two reasons. One, in the lead up to this panel, in previous chapters and in this one, Oda has painstakingly shown that the relationship between the Animal Kingdom pirates and Orochi's men are very, very solid. The two groups are effectively one and the same. They rely on each other, one can call on the other group for support, such as how when we first entered Wano, Hawkins was using Orochi's men as his own subordinates, and then we later see Kyoshiro is able to deploy the Flying Six to take care of Sanji, showing that effectively the hierarchies of the two are mixed. With Kaido decapitating Orochi in front of everyone, it shows that despite how intermixed the two factions are and how unified they are, at the very top, Kaido sees it all as his and his alone, which I think was masterful by Oda to truly show that amongst Kaido and the lead performers, this was all an act. All this camaraderie between the Animal Kingdom pirates and Orochi's men was all an act because at the end of the day, they're only in it for themselves, they're only here for the riot, they're here for the chaos, and they're just here to wreck house. And it doesn't matter what anyone but them wants. And it was done really well because both Kaido and Orochi's men were stunned at seeing Orochi getting decapitated, which really shows that this was really something only known by the lead performers, which is shown by King holding out his sword, ready for Kaido to decapitate Orochi. Big Mom, on the other hand, is unfazed by this because she probably figured that this was going to happen when she made the deal to ally with Kaido in the first place. She probably figured that Orochi was going to be decapitated, or not decapitated, but get disposed of in some way, and she just laughs because it's about time. It's now time for her and Kaido to take over the world, and they don't need someone like Orochi getting in their way. After that moment, which stuns the entire audience, Kaido gives Orochi's men 5 seconds to either ally with him or die. And this shows Kaido truly is a top-tier villain. Kaido is someone that is physically imposing. He has committed numerous atrocities across Wano and at the world, and at the end of the day, he's just downright cruel. He plans on betraying the very people that he'd allied with for 20 years to further his goals. He plans on taking the people of the Flower Capital, who have been supporting him unquestionably. They refer to him as the god of Onigashima. And he is willing to turn around and turn them into slaves to further his own goals, to increase production of his weapons so he can start a great war. Kaido is cruel. Kaido is cruelty incarnate in this series. Kaido cares for nothing and no one but himself and his ideas. And this just is put on full display this chapter. Kaido is an amazing villain. This chapter has completely sold me on Kaido as a villain and really shows that he is someone that we can hate. We are someone that we can love and someone that we can hate. We can love him because he's an effective villain, and we can hate him for all the vile, cruel things he puts the characters through. And this ultimatum is the culmination in all of that, where he betrays this very people that got him to where he is and tells them 5 seconds. Ally with me or die against me. And I think that's just amazing. Kaido then points to Momonosuke and says that neither the Kozuki nor the Koizumi clans matter to him, and they will all die the same. He's the one in charge. He is the god of New Onigashima, and he and Big Mom will rule the world as the king and queen of piracy. Luffy then sees Momo, and him and Yamato fall through the ceiling onto the show floor. Luffy tries to get Yamato to show him how to find Momo, but Yamato is completely blinded by rage at this point. Yamato wants nothing to do with this new Onigashima project, and he wants one thing: get the hell out of Wano and for Kaido to go die. And he is ready to just wreck house, as instead of helping Luffy, he is charging forward and Luffy's just trailing behind him trying to find a way to get to Momo. And that's really where the chapter ends. It ends with all hell about to break loose. Someone in the Beast Pirates starts hailing for the Flying Six, which in my opinion is going to show page 1 reappearing, as in the previous chapter, he was suspiciously looking at the ceiling where the two of them escaped to, and it's in my opinion he probably followed them and was hiding behind them the entire time, and he's going to drop down next chapter to get a rematch with Luffy. Also, in this hall, we know that folks like Kyogoro, Jinbei, Robin, Shishilian, Kinemon, Yoshiro, and many others are disguised as members of the Beast Pirates, and they're all on the show floor, meaning they all probably heard this. Meaning that in this ultimatum of ally or die, Kinemon is probably going to signal the strike, and the quote-unquote Beast Pirates are going to turn on Orochi's men before they can even think, causing massive chaos and allowing them to get the jump on Kaido's men, causing the war to finally begin. This chapter was phenomenal. Oda once again knows how to captivate his audience, and every panel has amazing details as usual. The details of showing how Inuarashi and Nakamamushi interact with each other, the Beast Pirates and Orochi's men interacting with each other leading up to Orochi's death, showing how the head of the Mimiwari Gumi did not freak out when Orochi died despite his own subordinates freaking out and Fukurokuju freaking out, indicates at least that there are probably some on Orochi's side that don't mind siding with Kaido and will probably do so in the upcoming war. Which just shows that Oda is always making sure to add little details to further his narrative, and this chapter was no different. The content of the chapter itself was amazing, and the war has begun. The Scabbards and Luffy have made their moves, and next chapter is really going to show it all on full display. Kaido has elevated himself to top tier villain alongside Big Mom, and his murder of Orochi cements this in my eyes. Even though I doubt Orochi has been killed, because let's be honest here, this is One Piece. Most characters don't die unless they're in flashbacks or you're part of the Whitebeard Pirates. Usually you don't die. And so I firmly believe that Orochi's gonna come back, and he's gonna have his own clash with Kinemon and the rest of the Scabbards, and he gets his comeuppance as he sees his world around him fall. Toki's prophecy has come true, and that the Scabbards are here to challenge him, and that the pirate Kaido was never to be trusted, and that the only reason he's here now is all due to his own machinations. So I firmly believe that Orochi's gonna come back, and he's really gonna see his whole world come around. But that's for later. Right now, I cannot praise this chapter enough. It was amazing. I give this chapter a 9 out of 10. Solid chapter, just amazing all around, and I cannot wait until the next chapter, 986, where we're gonna see the beginning of the war. We are on break next week due to the fact that Shonen Jump had a pre-scheduled break before all of COVID. They had a pre-scheduled break for the Olympics, but unfortunately the Olympics was shut down due to COVID-19. And thus this break was already preset into the yearly schedule, meaning that unfortunately, despite no Olympics, we will be going on break, but we will be back in August with chapter 986. So if you want to see my reaction and review to that, please subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, like and comment as well. I do One Piece reactions and reviews every time a chapter comes out, and if you like what I see, just give a like, comment, and subscribe. This is Shiny Pokemon Incorporated, signing out.